Hi, it's a pleasure to be here today. My name is Derek Sobral. I was not an activist before G20, but I've become one. Because of what I witnessed down there, the first thing I witnessed was I was under the Ontario Public Works Act. I was held under a false illegal law that was deemed illegal by the Ontario Ombudsman. It was a 1939 law that was used to protect against Nazi sabotage. They used that law on Canadians. They lied about a 5-meter rule that never existed. First it was outside the fence, then it was inside the fence, then it was all over the city. Illegal searches were happening all over the place. Our charter rights were violated on such a mass scale that we've never seen in this country. And that charter rights is the Canadian Constitution. That charter right is protected under the supremacy of God. The people's law comes first. The people's law is the Canadian Charter that supersedes any other law, especially the government's law. People always come first in this country. And that's why I thought it was important to stand up. And if you want civilian oversight, there's 3 documentaries out there. One is The Fifth Estate. It's called You Should Have Stayed at Home. Well, I chose not to stay at home. I chose to go down there and use my freedom of speech and use my rights for freedom of assembly and for the freedom of the press. And we should never be in fear because we have those rights. Those are fundamental rights in this country. In other countries like Libya and Egypt, people are dying for those rights. And we take them for granted here. Most Canadians are apathetic. And that's why it woke me up to how great this country is, that we do have these rights, and at all times we must stand up for this. So I just like to talk about those 3 documentaries. One is the CBC Fifth Estate, You Should Have Stayed at Home. Another one is called Into the Fire by Press for Truth. And the other one is called Toronto G20 Exposed. There's a lot of video evidence there of over 90 officers removing their badges. Now here's what I understand about that. Specifically, from the evidence that I researched, officers that were enacting in illegal activities, such as beating down protesters and activists, those specific officers removed their badges. Now, it's my understanding that they get disciplined a day's loss of pay. That's $300. So, in other words, what kind of justice is this if in future events they can arbitrarily remove their badge and only pay $300 to beat down a Canadian? I think specifically that has to be changed. They should not be Velcro badges, they should be sewn on. That's the first thing I think needs to be done. We need accountable police, first of all. We need justice brought back. We need the confidence and the respect back to the citizens of Toronto. And this is a healing process. This G20 doesn't seem to want to be going away because Canadians care. We care about our city and how people were treated. The most mass arrests in Canadian history, the most mass violations of charter rights, and we're not going to just let it go. We're going to keep speaking. We're going to speak frankly and boldly at all times, and the only thing we shall fear is fear itself. Thank you.